And welcome everyone. We are now live with Lakenator for the two-night special Mugi's PrimeTime when it is in a mind of a pro. So I agree. There is no pro yet on Predecessor, but like the idea is like we grow up towards that direction in the future. So that's why I decided to choose this name. And so like the goal of tonight is like to discover a little bit Lakenator, that he can explain also a little bit about his team. If you have any question also like for Lakenator in the chat, like feel free to share and we will like try to answer them. And also like then on the second part of the show, we will have like a match review, which Lakenator provided us, which will be like Dirty Lake and the boys against Professors. I haven't watched that game at all, and we will take the advantage of having Lakenator with us to actually get a little bit of insight and go a little bit of the behind the scenes stuff. So welcome everyone, welcome for the second edition of Mugi's Primetime and the first edition of In the Mind of a Pro. I'm joined by Lakenator, and how are you doing tonight, Lake?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good over here in NA. It's a good old afternoon right now, maybe nighttime for you guys, but the afternoon, so we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, we can see like the sun on
Yeah, the
next to
blinding
you,
light, yeah.
shining on you like beautifully. So I guess
Yeah.
like one thing that I'm so interesting with this type of talk show is like to discover a little bit of the background of the player. Like so, like what can you tell us about like where do you come from and a little bit of like also like background on video games, this type of stuff.
Yeah, so to give not too in depth, but I'm from Canada, so I'm one of the gamers located in the Great White North. And about my background, I played MOBAs honestly since I was 16. I'm considered old. I'm 29, so I enjoy MOBAs. I played League of Legends, I played Smite, I dibbled in a bit of Dota and Here's the Storm. Not my kind of games, but Smite and League were always my home to me, and I've always enjoyed shooters, but once I started playing MOBAs, I could not stop playing MOBAs. So, and then I was not happy where Smite was headed. I heard about Predecessor. I played a couple of games of Paragon, maybe like 10 to 50 when it came out. And then I was like, this, I did not like where Smite was headed. And like, this is where I wanted to be. And now I'm actually having a blast on Predecessor. And I'm actually super excited for the future. But we'll see where things go.
Yeah, we're all very hopeful. So far, I'm pretty happy like how Omeda is managing all the things and also how the scene is developing around like all this early access. It's definitely like very interesting. And so like all this MOBA experience. So you said like 16, you're 21, so that's been 13 years that you actually like played MOBA. Like on that, I'm still have the seniority here, like 1 year older, so that's
Oh,
perfect.
there you go.
But on that regard, so I know that you're playing for Dirty Lake and the boys. If I'm not mistaken, you couldn't like participate in the previous PCC, or I didn't like know all the background. But if you can like tell us a little bit of like your teammates and how like the team kind of started to form on that aspect.
Yeah, so I guess when the first scene first started, everyone was looking for teams, jumping on board. I was originally on TOS, and then all the most of the players on TOS were big Pokemon Unite players, so a lot of them went back to Pokemon Unite tournaments.
Okay.
And so I was kind of just free agent, filling for teams, seeing who I'd mesh well with. Everyone just knew me as the free agent that would sub for a team. And then eventually I reached out to PCC and I said, hey, I'll help for this tournament. I don't have a team. And then I also had thing just reach out to me where we had Rogue reach out to me and said, "Hey, can you sub for us for this tournament?" And because Appy can't make it, and I said, "You know what? Sure, let me sub, and we'll see where things go." And then eventually ended up winning the seeding tournament, I guess you would call it, which was super exciting. And then I had some friends from Smite. We had Toasty and Grady, so they had like previous competitive experience. Honestly, I don't think I'd personally I don't enjoy teaming with friends because it's always I think sometimes a hard environment to be into sometimes. But I think actually, for example, Grady has improved a lot. I think Toasty has improved a lot. So I gave it a shot, and things have been going pretty well. And then we needed two more players to join the team. And then, like I said, we came really close with Dirty Rogue and Pinzo and Haru and Tekken, and now we're like little friends that just hang out and chit chat. It's kind of like two teams kind of merged together. And then what happened after that is we wanted to, like, we're super competitive. So we want to be the best we can be. And we sat down and just said, what do we think the best team would be from both players? So we said, me, Toasty, Grady, Nitro, and Appy, we think we can compete with the top teams and hopefully consistently do well. And at the same time, though, we said to everyone else, we're down to support them in any way possible. We're down, then they can sub for us. They need team members. We can sub for them. just really open. I really enjoyed just having the communication with them, and so things are kind of still in that area. I know Pinzo and Wangle as well as part of that. So I know Wangle's coming back to NA, so there's that. That's gonna be exciting. And I think Pinzo might be on vacation or he's like out of town for a bit, so they're kind of reforming the team. But I think gonna miss maybe this tournament or maybe the next tournament, and then they're probably gonna come back with their own team as well. So it's exciting to see where things will go, and things move pretty fast, I find. So
Yeah, and so like definitely like if I hear that correctly, like Dirty Lake and the boys, we kind of have to take back the torch of what Rogue actually have done in like the previous PCC, in a sense there, and very nice like to see like it's not like a team that just form like on the whim. Like you actually like kind of wander around a little bit around the scene, take like a little bit of time to see if you were willing to actually play with your friend, because exactly like you said, like sometime playing with your friend, as soon as like you all as are at the same level and you progress at the same like like speed, it's kind of fine. But at some point you still need to be sometime a bit harsh with your teammate. Like you need to have like constructive criticism, and sometimes like this friend like relationship can get into that. So I completely understand your point on that. But like, so in the end you kind of decide to form like this team, and I have to ask, like, Lakenator, Dirty Lake, and the boys. I guess that kind of have a connection there. Why did you decide to go for that name as a team?
okay, well, we were just messing around thinking of team names. I don't know if I came up with it or someone else came up with it, but have you ever seen the movie The Other Guys?
I haven't actually.
Oh, you
So
haven't? Well, all I gotta say is, Dirty Mike and the boys. So if you've
okay.
seen the other guys, there's a scene or a couple scenes with Dirty Mike and the boys, and we thought it was just funny and it sounded really good. So we said, you know what, let's go with it. And so if you know the scene, you know the scene. I recommend watching it. If you're a big Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg fan, if you enjoy their movies, it's really funny. Of course, it's stupid, but it's really funny. It's a really good movie. So.
Like I always love when there is like a story behind a name, and then you kind of use that give like some personality of the team. And that's also something I kind of like about the NA scene, is like most team kind of kept their name. Like it's not like every single like morning I just wake up to go for some scrim analysis, and then there is a new team with a new name and I don't know what to do about. Like this part of the NA scene I kind of enjoy about it. And then they're also like, so how long have you been a team together, like this full roster? I think it was just after the PCC, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yeah, so we've maybe done some scrims with subs here and there, but I would say after the PCC, on that Monday, we became a official team, and then we've been scrimming a lot and trying to build that synergy. Like like me and Toasty were working on synergy. I think Grady and Appy actually have just natural synergy, which is really good. And then Nitro, of course, it's solo lane. Everyone says solo lane, but trying to get Nitro as well into that whole synergy of just being able to respond and react to other decisions, shot calling, or just being respecting team calls and just building the morale of the team up so that we can, feel confident, or when something's called, everyone commits to that and no hesitation, right? So the only way you learn is you full commit to something. If someone says something, and if they're your main shot caller, and he may do a quick check-in to say, yeah, this is a great idea, then you jump right on in, and either it goes well or you don't, and you learn, right? So just trying to build that. I think that's our biggest thing right now, is building that the teamwork. So.
I really like what you're saying there, because I always say like it's better to follow like a bad call together than actually like doing your own way, and that's also like the only way your main shot caller will improve. Because if
Yeah.
you don't like follow what he's saying, like how could he know if it was actually good or not? So apparently like definitely like a good mindset, like from the way you're talking. Also I kind of sense the excitation of like getting like this roster together, and apparently like I would assume like so far like you have great expectation, and I assume that you're going to participate in the next PCC as the full roster, and probably like I know that a lot of people are kind of excited about like Dirty Lake and the boys. People think that you have like a great potential, so definitely it's like you're targeting like this first place for the next PCC, I would assume.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see where things go. Like I said, I personally think we'll like I said, the only teams we'll struggle with in PCC, I think the seeding tournament, none of the good teams are they already qualified. So I think the next PCC tournament, the only teams we have to worry is once again going to be Royalty, Professors, and maybe Rogue's new roster. So we'll see where they're going to go, because they have to build that roster and for their next tournament as well. But they have a lot of time. They have till like the end of the month. So we'll see. It's gonna be interesting to see where things go.
And regarding your role, like, so I think if I'm not mistaken, you were playing carry for the Dirty Lake and the boys. And is it like something that you were already like playing in your previous MOBA, or is it just something that you decided to pick up for a predecessor? Like, what made you like choose that role?
Yeah, so right now, when I'm playing casual games, I just work on my skills in all roles. I think it's great to understand how every role functions, so you can apply that knowledge to your laning phase and understand what the mind of a jungler is. I think that's really strong. But how I came to carry is, well, in League of Legends, I played a lot of click carry. When I came to Smite, I played a lot of carry. And when I played Smite competitively or tried to, I played a lot of carry. So then Predecessor just felt naturally. I was kind of sick of carry, so I played a lot of mid when I came to Predecessor. But then I realized there's a lot of weak carries in the NA scene, so I moved over to carry in the early stages, and then I went back to mid, and then I was like, I'm just filling. I'm an individual that I'll fill a role if there's no. I feel like I don't say successful, but like if there's no strong players, I'll move myself into a role to learn it, just for the rather be temporary or rather be helping out a team. So I want to be that just general base, but right now I'm focusing on carry and how can I improve that and how can I excel in the carry role.
I kind of definitely get behind you in terms of the fact that I feel like the carry role is one of the role that is kind of lacking like a very dominant player. But I also like kind of feel like maybe it kind of comes down to the fact that compared to solo queue towards like competitive games like the 5v5, I feel like the carry is like the biggest step that you actually have to
Yeah.
to change because like when you're playing carry in solo queue and when you play carry as a team as a 5v5, you're not playing the same game. And I feel like maybe like a lot of players have a bit trouble of adjusting to that. So it's kind of good to see like some people that are going to actually focus on that and can maybe like share a little bit of knowledge on that. So also like I think like maybe that can be interesting is like for instance for people that are currently like interested in getting into the early access and the competitive side of things, since you're like kind of part of it and you actually got like a you actually try like to go for a little bit of sub and you didn't get into a team directly, like what would be your recommendation to try to get involved in the competitive scene right now for like people that are interested but they don't know how to approach that?
Yeah, there's the best way I would say, first of all, is I think streams. There's a lot of people that stream, just get talking in streams, getting involved with them, and then of course just getting in games with players. If you're constantly getting in games, say with like players that are well known in the community, and you just constantly perform well, say in a solo queue environment, it's like a green flag that hey, maybe this person might have potential. There's some really good players I see all the time, I think in the NA scene that solo queue that might be under, have potential. For example, I think Cold. I think he's actually a really good ADC. He might have a team. I heard he might, maybe. I'm not too sure, but I think Cold's actually a really good carry. I think actually Atomic's improved a lot, but I think now he has a team. And then I think there's also a lot of teams that that could mesh together and maybe become that next step. But I would say just playing the game, doing consistently well against certain players, or just consistently performing well. I think the biggest thing is just being consistent in games, and then reaching out to players. There's discords that you can get involved with. You have the PCC just reaching out. There's looking for team chats in tournament discords. So just getting into the scene, subbing for teams. Like you don't have to create a team, but if someone needs a sub and you happen to be around, or they need a sub, reach out to them. And it's just a simple, yeah, they want you or no. So I think a mix of those things will propel you along the way.
Yeah. So far, like I feel like from what I heard is like we're in early access. There is like not really like a very like structure put in place. So try to get involved into the community and get your name a little bit out there. And even like the first team you kind of find, like just go for it. Go for a few scrims. Like it might not like stay because like it's very hard to find like four players with whom you actually like enjoy playing that have the right role when you have the same ambition. But that is like you will get a little bit your name out there and that will help you to finally like transition to maybe like one of your like more permanent roster in a sense. So I will take also the advantage to like go a little bit like away from Dirty Lake and the boys and just talk a little bit about like you have a tournament tomorrow with a
Oh
little NA
yeah.
mix. So how do you approach that? I think that's the first time that an NA team is going for EU tournament on Predecessor. So like what push you like to actually participate and how like are you approaching like this tourney?
Um, yeah, I don't know really what pushed us. It was just like I think a casual conversation we had within the team, like, hey, does anyone free for this weekend? You want to go to EU, see what they have? Because like I said, we know nothing about EU. NA literally knows nothing about EU. All we ever hear about is Team Immune. So we want to see what other competition might be out there besides Team Immune. So we said, okay, we had Toasty and Appy say they can't make it. So we said, hey, we reached out to the professors. Does anyone want to, just come together for this tournament, see how we do? We have Nitro, I think it's gonna be the off rolling, and then we don't have that natural synergy. And plus the ping. And some people have 150 ping. I think Carrie's the lower ping is nicer. I have like 90 to like 100, which isn't too bad, but you do feel like the
Yeah.
slight delay. But so we said, hey, let's see what EU has to offer. We were coming in with the ego that we think we're going to beat everyone besides Team Immune. I think, well, I don't say besides. I think Team Immune's going to be our toughest challenge, and I think we can beat them. But it's really it's the lack of synergy we have, and it's Team Immune on their home environment, so they're actually don't have the ping diff, so they're
Yeah.
actually very mechanically skilled in that regard. We learned the other day when we scrimmed them. But I'm interested to see whether EU teams can step up to the plate, or we feel that will actually be challenging. So.
Yeah, it will be interesting also like to see what like the tier two of EU can offer against the competition of you guys. And yeah, like you speak about Team Immune, like Team Immune is back to back to back champion of
Yeah.
the Fang 2. So will it be like one more time on this time, or maybe like this time it will be like an NA team that kind of come and stop them from getting there, like they have done on the ATS. That was like the old name of the PCC back. I think it was the second edition. I don't remember exactly, but yeah. So that will be interesting to see. Of course, like you said, some off roll, some mix of two teams, so the synergy is not at the same level. You get to the ping. I think like ping is always like an issue, but I think like the worst aspect is like actually like you get out of what you're used to. Like you can get kind of used to 100 ping. It's still like not perfect, but you can get used to. But when you're switching like for playing 40 pings and then you get to 100 ping, like you really feel the
Yeah.
difference because it's not the same thing every single time. But yeah, it has been cold, so like probably like at least like the mix Dirty Lake and Professor like aiming like at least like pretty convincingly for the second place of the Fang Boost tomorrow. So I'm excited to see how it will pan out towards the weekend. I have to admit that I'm an EU boy, and there is like a lot of tier two team, and I would be happy that some of them like actually like, contest you, so you can like finally like put something else than immune in the discussion for the people in NA. But I feel like a lot of EU teams need to mature a little bit before getting there. But we'll see. Like for the people in chat, like of course, like I think like you probably know, but don't forget like the Fang Boost Force Edition tomorrow, on the same channel as this one, and we have like sent a team that are ready like to face each other with like a double elimination bracket, so a little different format than what we have on the PCC, which I think like both have their merits, and so I can't be excited, can't be more excited to have like more match to watch and probably like more match to analyze for the next week. So I will do a little transition toward like a little bit like trying to get a little bit of information about like the behind the scenes
Okay.
stuff. Maybe like I felt like from the few like moment I got the chance to discuss with you like before we go live, that you kind of have like kind of a good mindset on how practice should be like done and such. And so like I would like you like when you start like a scream, how do you approach it as a player and as a team? Because I know that there is a lot of players that kind of go like we just screams and we just practice and we just play. But I would like to have your own opinion on that.
Yeah, so I guess it all depends. So if you're going against, usually it depends. It's so many variables. But say we're going against a new team that has potentially we hear is top tier, we'll jump in that scrim and we'll try our hardest and just try to beat them. The first step too is like, can we compete with this team on our best of our best? Once we know we can compete with a team on the best of the best, we take the second approach of, let's try things out. We need to understand what works, what can work. Maybe we can develop like a strategy against a team, understanding their team, how they operate. So it's just a lot of information absorbing and trying things out. Like we against professors, we did Grok support. Never want to do that again. I keep trying Rev. it does not work for me. I do not want to play Rev again. So, but I'll keep trying Rev. Every patch, like maybe Rev's good again, or maybe I'll play it differently. And some pools or characters you enjoy more than others, and of course it's exploring that. Another thing is I actually think Kira is a lot stronger than I felt like before, just from scrim experiences against Team Immune, against the professors, and seeing how they utilize Kira. Because I always think, Kira is a terrible character because of her ult. Or it's like, let's try Faye out, or let's draft a team around Faye, or just let's throw in Faye with no CC, and she's the only CC, and see how well it plays. And, just trying to understand that, people only see Faye as an ult machine, but she actually does a lot of damage. It's actually a lot of damage she does. So, yes, you can counter her ult, but then again, you can also maybe draft a more team-oriented CC team where you have Richter and Faye, and now you're like they can't reclamation everything, right? So it just coming down to that with my mindset and what are we trying to learn this game? What are we trying to focus on? We're trying to focus on shot calling. Are we trying to focus on being more clean with our abilities and communicating CC? So there's many different things we try to focus on in a scrim. It's not always about winning. It's just always going home with valuable information. If we get stumped, we get stumped, but at least we learned something, right? So.
Yeah, really the learning experience and not be scared of actually just like trying stuff that you're not confident in. Like scrims are like a learning experience, like you said. And so it's important to take that into account. If you always like play in like a tournament mindset, at some time you will just reach a plateau and that you will not be able to break. Like I fully agree with that. And then like you also like elaborate a little bit about like communication and such. And so like there is like a question I have, because I think like there is different opinion on players on that, and I would like to have your take on that one. It's like, do you think it's actually like better to just like you just go like with the flow of the action, or it's actually like important to be quite verbose about what you're doing and your intent when you're fighting? And so like what do you think like it's the best approach? Like it's maybe like just like people like doing like so they're so good like at meshing together that they just like go with the flow and it kind of works out, or it is actually important to try to have clean communication, call CC, like intent and all of that?
I would say communication is extreme. Like in a team fight is, I think it's one of the most valuable things, because especially in Predecessor, you can't see what's behind you. You can't see really what's to the left and the right of you. You're also getting pressured, so you're also focusing on what's in front of you. So you're trying to absorb as much information, but at the same time, you can't see everything. You look at the play and then you go for it, but at the same time, you have teammates. Like I'll do a lot of calling of like, hey, can we just peel, turn, peel, like play like front to back, turn around. Sevrog's in the middle of five people. Instead of going forward, just everyone turn on the Sevrog and take out the Sevrog. Or it's just saying, hey, I need CC or I need peel, or it's even simple. Say someone playing Gideon, they see an opportunity to get a massive ult, they call the ult, and it's just go go go. Or it's like a little dance sometimes you have to do, and it's trying to you're trying to get someone to miss position or overstep, or it's the simple of just peel in the middle of the fight. If someone can hear that, hey, the carry needs peel, the support can do a quick 180, because for example Decker could maybe be engaging with or just zoning with the cage, or maybe she engaged with the stun ball ult, and then she can put the cage on me and I can walk away from the Sevrog or stuff like that. So I think communication is key. And then if you go with just a flow, you can waste CC. Say you Decker ball and then it hits and the Richters think the target's going there, and you miss that, so you miss key abilities with communication as well. Or you just don't chain CC well. If you happen to Richter ult and Decker ult at the same time, that's not really valuable. You kind of want to chain it after one or the other. So just trying to be that. I think it's really hard for players, but just get that 1 to 2 second notice of letting what you're trying to do here. I think that's the biggest issue I find with my team is just 1 to 2 seconds, even half a second. Just try to be vocal about it so that they can register in our teammates' brains that, hey, okay, we're reacting accordingly, or what we're gonna do. Because split second decisions can honestly win or lose you the fight. So
Yeah. So on that one, like I'm definitely like on that train as well. Like I really think it's super important. You exactly like said, like we're especially like in a third person MOBA, like you can't see like all the action. The action is kind of messy, so it's important that if you have like a better venture point, that you can like actually provide that to people. Like all this like CC wasted that you actually like talked about. That is, I think, like, yeah, true, very very very, very important. And but it's very hard. Like I feel like getting to that level, it's actually like very hard and it takes time. And so it's important to just like understand it's a slow process and kind of keep working towards that direction, which I feel like Dirty Lake and the boys kind of still have this this wheel and this direction. So that's also something that can be scary, because when like a team reach that level of coordination, which I hope you guys like will get there, like first I will be like super happy because I love watching those play that are like just unfolding perfectly, like it's a super beautiful choreography and nothing like the enemy guy can just like say, okay, I'm just dead because I can't react anything and everything is beautiful. But also like that will also kind of step up the playing field, and we'll get like every team that kind of try to reach that level of thing, and that will improve like the scene overall. So I think like we can now advance a little bit, probably like during like in the direction of the match review, which I just believe that I didn't really like thought quite a lot about it, so on how you are going to see what I'm projecting.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know
So
if you can share your screen or I can look at the stream. I don't know.
yeah,
Whatever. But the stream would be a bit delayed, so unless you
I
can share your
think
screen, I don't know.
I think I can share the screen. I'm just like a little bit scared that it will like kind of mix up the
Mess with
camera,
things.
but
Yeah.
so maybe we'll have a little like technical moment to get like everything back on track. It's the
You can
first
put
edition.
a BRB screen, I guess.
Yeah, well, we don't have that yet, but at least like so we'll just
Oh.
switch the thing, and probably I can just like now share my screen, which will be that one. Up, up, and now like yeah, I just have to move like the camera off Lakenator here, so we have the correct vision anymore. I don't know if you managed to see like the predecessor
I
or
see,
not.
yes, I see the game.
Perfect. So, and I think like on the order saying like, okay, on live we're perfect as well. Nice. So the idea here is just like we have a match like that Lakenator like shared with us with his Dirty Lake and the boys against the professors, and we try to go over it together, but taking the advantage to get a little bit of insight of from Lakenator on how he played the game, how the team kind of played, maybe a little bit like of how the play like the team was feeling, a little bit of this type of thing, so we get a little bit of a behind the scene stuff, and it's not as dry as what I usually do on my stream when I just like have to infer a lot of parameters, a lot of variable, and so we take this advantage. So already like kind of a context like on that like is what was the goal of the scrim? Like you said, like you were trying to like maybe like try some stuff sometimes, or just like going like for the win mindset. Like what was like the mindset when we got into the scrim?
So yeah, this mindset is we kind of just wanted to have a good solid game against them because last time we scrimmed them, we tried things out and we also got like absolutely, I would say, stomped. So it was more of a, I guess, a morale booster saying, yeah, we can still beat these guys. And I know they've been trying to improve a lot and change their strategy. So our first game against them, or I mean, I guess our first scrim block against them didn't go as well, but we were also trying a lot of new things out. So we thought, let's go in hard with the first game. Put people on strong characters and then, see where things out. We also wanted to try things. We haven't done Narbash support in a long time, so we thought, maybe Narbash support is viable or maybe decent. I think sustain actually can go a long ways, especially as you read the patch notes. I think maybe sustain might be better in the dual lane. So maybe that's also a direction we're looking at. And like I said, we thought maybe Narbash was good. We want to get better with Kalari. We think Kalari is really strong. I don't know if EU's on the same page either, but a lot of teams in NA are starting to really value Kalari rather than be maybe picking it off lane or just playing in the jungle. I think the issue with Kalari is it has that mind game element to you. It's you constantly have to say where is Kalari, and you have to play with that. I can't step up to a fight and unless I know where Kalari is. So Kalari just brings that whole other mental game that is really frustrating to deal with. And then also Kalari can I think really snowball a game if it gets head early. And then the off lane it was just more of working on matchups. Like I said, right with Nitro, we're just trying to get him super comfortable with matchups, understanding what can be the best builds in certain matchups, and just improving. How can we get him to be the most successful as possible in his laning phase, so that he can be that monster in the later stages of the game. So that was kind of our thought process into this game.
Okay. Thanks. And I have to say, like, you're an amazing guest because you just like make me remind me of one question I kind of prepared but I forget about when you talk about the patch. Like the patch just like hit like earlier today, and so like, what is like this thing that kind of like you really liked on that patch, like maybe like one note and the thing that you're expecting the most about like that patch, and maybe like one of the change that you're kind of wary about.
Yeah, I would say one of the things I'm most excited about is them taking away sustainability from characters in laning phases to make abilities feel more impactful, to make aggression feel more impactful, or if someone is too aggressive and you punish them, they really get punished. So it makes that, I guess, it reinforces, I think, the mindset of more clean gameplay and less room for error. So if you want to be that aggression, make sure to execute it well. Or if not, you might have to reset early, and then they may freeze the wave on you. You may get punished. So I think it opens up the laning phase a bit more, rather than right now it seems just to be who can pressure who the hardest. I personally think the meta is a pressure meta right now. So whoever has pressure kind of controls the whole game for the most part. And then the things that I don't like the most or worry about is the Sapphire Mantle. Tanks
Okay.
are, I don't know. We'll see in action. Either tanks gonna be more scary with that Sapphire Mantle proc when they on you and they proc it and get free HP. But then again, I'm also kind of excited because it might make more on-hit build viable. I think the only viable on-hit build right now is probably Drongo and Sparrow, but we'll see.
Okay. I have to admit, like on this side, that the stuff that's something that scare me a little bit. On my side, it's the Razorback, because like in terms of number, it's supposed to like be less efficient, but actually, I feel like it's actually like stronger than before, and Razorback was already like kind of a monster like now. So we'll see. That's little
It
part, but
depends. My whole idea with Razorback, I think it's weaker is, in a sense, you just stop shooting them. As a carry, though, you just stop shooting them. You walk, you just try to run your life away until that thing's
Yeah.
gone, and then you shoot them. And then, but it's different with a mage. Like if you're standing in a gadget, the gadget ult, you Razorback, the gadget's taking damage. You fail, they Razorback, the phase taking a lot of damage. So
yeah.
I can see the pros and cons.
Yeah, well, it's we'll have to see. It's
Yeah.
like the pre-mitigated stuff that like kind of scared me, because it's like 20% is it can be quite a lot. But yeah,
Yes.
I kind of like this overall idea, like you said, of the TTK, of because also like we have to keep in mind, like you were talking about the sustain, the fact that we have health potion on everyone that are kind of free, so you also already have like some sustain in it, and so like yeah, I'm excited to see like the differences and how it goes. So. Thank you for the insight. So let's start the game. Like I assume like Narbash is your support in that situation. So you have a Narbash, a Drongo lane against a Decker, a Murdoch. So I would assume like kind of like a passive take, at least on the early time, to not just like get too pressured by the Decker. And here we can see that you're kind of grouping. So maybe like some ID there, trying to catch something or not get invade.
Yeah, we think they have the stronger level 1, so we're just playing more defensive on this one. We're not trying to ward, we're not trying to get cut out. We're seeing if maybe they go for an invade. I think it's always good to maybe go for the invade or not go for the invade. It creates that suspense. I think it's also really good mechanics that, hey, let's try to pick someone, get a free kill, get a little snowball going, or maybe we just get vision so we actually understand where the jungler's starting. But both teams just play passive here. We do our line at defensive formation, and then we just go to lane. And I see we drop just river wards, just to see what vision we can find. I don't know if actually that river ward is that valuable, but I think we dropped, like I said, the jungler dropped a ward there because they weren't safe enough to go deeper into the jungle. So that let's drop a ward and just grab a sentry. Why not? Maybe we get something out of it. So.
Yeah. And as you said, like I completely agree with the fact that the first minute of the game is kind of like free time that you kind of have to exploit it. Like if you don't do anything, like you're kind of losing a little bit on that. So and can mixing things up, can keep team on their toes overall. So you can see like you're already like fighting quite a lot here on the early game, and you already first back. Because like they have definitely the level 1 here as their team. Like Narbash until the level 2, if you don't have the Song of My People, it's very, very hard to actually fight.
Yeah, we're gonna see like a mistake up shortly, but yeah, Narbash level 1 isn't the greatest, but if I get Decker stun and Narbash stuns, it's pretty equal. But yeah, Narbash oversteps here. Takes a lot of poke. I counter with a lot of poke, but he does the flash, which I think is pretty good. But unfortunately, yeah, the HP trade was pretty equal in a sense, but we lost flash for it, so it was a bit rough. And he can't really step up, yeah. And then I go here to body block, just to make sure he doesn't die, just stand in the way to body block. I think that's another skill players are starting to adapt, is body blocking is an insanely skill. As you know from Smite, body blocking is huge. So
Yeah.
I get level 2 and I'd be really aggressive. I get punished for it a bit, and our bash hits 2, and then we just heal, try to stain back in.
Here we have.
And then here we go.
Yeah.
we have
Looking
Grady
for
coming
the gank, trying
It was
to get.
yeah.
Ooh.
The thing about this is he perfectly goes in between them. It was perfect. They spaced perfectly for him to go in between them, and they didn't see him. So, and then we just freeze the wave here and slow push it.
Yeah, and also like double crippling dagger with death mark, which is the exact amount of damage needed to get the kill.
It's frustrating. Has to be the most frustrating thing, just getting double death marked, and you're just, oh, I'm gonna die. Like, I don't know.
And so here we see that I think like Toasty was guaranteeing that the wave was crashing on the tower when you go for the gold buff, trying to optimize the fact that you're getting the gold buff super fast so you can reset, I would assume, but at the same time not letting any chance of the enemy team freezing in that situation.
Yeah, what he did there is he walked to the 3 camp just to drop the ward, and maybe the jungler. Sometimes junglers like to contest gold camps early or just get that gold for themselves or for the other carries. So he just walked over and dropped the ward and then came on over because we had no threat from the dual lane.
And so like of course like the early stage of the game is mainly like trying to get a little bit of a lead on the lane. We can see that the carry was already like quite present, getting already a kill, putting the dual lane a little bit ahead. But it's mainly like through the jungler that you will get like a little bit of advantages and such. And here we can see like the wave coming back because the wave crashed, but there is nothing to really be gained on the side of Professor with this wave crashing on the tower and the tempo they gain from that.
Yeah, actually a fun fact here is with the pressure they create, they like the support roam. You can say they can maybe get nothing from it, but if you have pressure in dual lane, send your support to mid. Look for a gank, to catch someone, get vision, do a little brisk walk through the jungle, see what you can see, try to find information. So I think this is what happens here is actually I think Crazy Fool is missing, and we were like, oh, he's missing, and then we just like, let's just engage, you know?
Yeah.
We're like, we're like, you can't be up here by yourself, and then we realized Decker's in mid, so it's like, yeah, just kill him. We thought maybe she was baiting the fog wall, but then we realized she's been gone way too long. Just go on him. So.
And very well played. And that's something that I feel like it's kind of different from like at least like the experience I got like playing in Smite is like as a carry or as a support, if you're alone against the 2 other opponent, like you can't go up. You're gonna get destroyed. Yeah. I feel like in this game.
Yeah. So I think I think Professor got a kill in mid, but we recovered with getting a kill in the dual lane, and then I think the Professor would be up here if Survivor didn't happen to step up. So this is kind of helping us up a lot. At least snowball the dual lane a bit.
And I really like what you did there. Like it's the it's the reset at the exact same timing, so nobody can get catch if finally like you can like got the little seconds. Like we see that the Decker was kind of close, but if someone get catch, the other can cancel the back and you can still fight. So like that's these little things I really enjoy to watch. And so now we're just like waiting for the wave to come back a little bit. Overall, like you're already kind of like the dual lane already got like 2 kills overall with the rotation of the Kalari, and so nice dodge here. Just waiting here, I think nothing much to be gained, just getting your last hits, your farming going up.
Yeah, we understand that maybe IDOC's over here. We can see on the map that he is, but we're not too sure. We asked the team like, where's IDOC? Maybe Grady will say he's probably on his blue side since he started a red and his red's probably down. Because if usually junglers can be very like, I don't say predictable, but usually if you know they're on one side and it's cleared, usually then they're on the other side. So we're just like playing it slow here. Goes for a little poke, misses.
Yeah.
We make fun of Toasty every time he misses CC.
It's important.
We try to enforce the mindset that when you do CC, you want it to be impactful, not just for a measly, I don't know, 80 damage, 100 damage. Yeah. We would, save that mana for your heal or other abilities. Or the moment you use your CC in lane, it's like, oh, they don't have CC? Okay. Yeah. You're going to get engaged on, or they're going to do something. It's all about how is someone going to react if something goes wrong as well.
And I would assume, like, since you were talking about communication, like, I would assume that you're trying to actually, like, every time Toasty go like for a thunk, like he try to warn you in advance that he's looking for it, so you can follow up perfectly and get like the old Rusty double shot every single time. This type of exchange, I would assume.
Yeah, I think it's all like we are definitely trying to work on that. It's not perfect, but it's trying to get to that saying, hey, let me know what you're thinking. Like, if you see an opportunity and I don't see, then let's engage. So he does a really good job. Like I said, body blocking, just standing in front of me. We get ganked by Howie, which is unfortunate. We didn't know the rotation was coming, and then we just got collapsed on.
Yeah, and like Soul Reaper with the level 7, maybe was only level 6 and got the level 7 on the kills and the wave, but taking advantage of this Meki train and very nice rotation by him. Kinda managed to create some space for Team Professors. And I wonder if it's great, like no, like here there is like one thing that is kind of rough to watch is like the that I'm on drone. I just like get baited by the fact that the map just like turn around. Like that's some of the little things of the spectator mode that can sometimes make you lose your track of what is going on in the match. So not that huge of a deal, like it's still like a rotation of the mid laner. We can see like the team is actually like fighting in the mid lane here on this situation. And we have Toasty that actually rotated. And that's something like I would assume like you said, like if we stay like alone on the dual lane, like it doesn't like you can't really do much. So here you were dead, and I guess like Toasty just like trying to be useful on the map at the same timing.
And we're also like a big believer that give your carry as much solo farm as possible. You know, like if your carry can solo farm safely and get ahead, it's like carries with levels is really impactful. So if the support has opportunity to roam and you don't need help in the dual lane, you just create that much pressure and presence elsewhere in the map. So yeah, so if you can just solo farm as a carry, it's really good.
And here we can see like it was very nice that you still like managed to like occupy them a little bit, so the wave crash on the tower, and so you won't get zoned out of the next wave. Where like there was potentially like a freeze potential because there were 2 and you were alone, but since they focus too much on you, they can't really go for that, and you don't lose farm in that situation. And so like you said, you can continue farming like solo and get like a little bit ahead in terms of levels, in terms of, and be impactful later in the game.
Yeah, I agree. Also, if they freeze the wave and you know you can't step up, and you can roam safely, go roam. Maybe pressure the mid lane. Maybe look at an invade or look at where you can create opportunities. Because sometimes sitting in a lane and you can't do anything, you might as well just be off the map, because at least they don't know where you're at. You could be hiding on the fog wall. You could go in your own jungle. If you know you just can't be there and you're not getting any XP or getting zoned, it's all about just, you know, resetting. Here we see IDOC on the ward, so I ulted out the cage. Luckily missed the stun, but Toasty gets pulled. We actually have it. He stalls long enough. He puts on the wobble there. Hits a 2-man knockup. Survivor unfortunately flashes into the Gideon portal, and he puts him back into the Gideon ult. And then that was, yeah. I don't know if you want to rewatch that, but that was. I was surprised we were able to turn that round. I'm very shocked at how long Toasty lived. So.
We can watch that, but it's kind of like I remember like one game I've also like watched that was also like the Rift Walker that pulls someone into the portal, and it was like super unfortunate because then it just like get picked up. But yeah, like really like a good job of Toasty like staying alive as long as he can. We try to help him with the gag grenade. We can see that also like the ultimate give damage reduction, so that kind of helped. Yeah. And yeah, oh, the flash from Survivor, yeah. That's super unfortunate.
He might have lived. I'm pretty sure he still dies, but it's very unfortunate that he's flashed into the Gideon portal. I thought that was funny. I laughed when I saw that in the game.
Yeah, and that feels things super just happen. Bad.
Yeah, it feels super bad.
But so you get like a very strong like collapse, and I have to say like that's a typical Happy ultimate that just win a team fight by himself. I feel like Happy on Gideon like always find those crazy ultimate because he kind of like wait for the right moment. He doesn't engage with that. He just like wait for the fight to become a little bit messy, and then he appear and you're just like in the middle of the black hole and you're so like, ah yeah, Happy again. Got us all.
We think Appy might have the best Gideon in A. Also, one of Appy's weaknesses is he's always on the go mindset. So we sometimes have to slow him down, because sometimes he pulls the trigger too quick instead of being a bit more patient with abilities. But yeah, Appy's Gideon is, I think, is really good because he hits a lot of abilities as well with mechanical without any CC, which is really good.
And so as you can see, like you're starting to get a little bit of a lead on terms of kills, and they try to focus a little bit on the dual lane here, managing to get Toasty. Then the skewer is also there. Like good combo by them.
Yeah. I think that my fault that I should have just walked away. I guess in my head I assumed they would use ult to kill Narbash, but they didn't. I should have just walked away. That was just a little misplay on my part of just learning to... Yeah, one of the things we have to accept as a team we're learning on, if someone is dead, let them die. Don't die with them. Just take the trade. If it's a 1-for-1, don't try to save them. Let them die. But what our team also realizes, hey, they're doing Fangtooth. Well, let's do Mini Prime. Let's put pressure elsewhere on the map. Let's go there. Let's respond accordingly. So I think stuff like that is what the weaker teams need to work on is if someone's getting an objective, do something. Yeah. Take a tower, invade their jungle, take another objective, do something else. So it doesn't feel as bad.
Yeah. Like the worst thing you can do when the enemy team is doing an objective is staying around the objective and not contesting it, because then you don't create like anything else on the map, and while the enemy team is just like taking this time, and in the end you just get nothing when they get the full objective. So very, very nice heads up play. Accepting that kind of your loss. I kind of agree with you here that you probably could have disengaged earlier and accept that Toasty was dead, but good reaction overall that you tried the mini prime, and now you have the timing with the mini prime to actually make something even more on the map. And once again, like we see like this mindset of solo farming for the carry. Toasty is actually like helping the rest of the team, creating space on the left side of the map, while like the two carriers just chilling, farming, and waiting like for this mid game, late game power spike when they can actually like start killing everyone.
Yeah, I'm also a firm believer that carry should never 1v1 unless you know you have the advantage. Of course, poking is fine and stuff like that, but 1v1s I think are one of those coin flips that can go either way depending on certain scenarios. So it's usually better or efficient just to farm or try to zone them out, or create that zone of control over them. So this is where I freeze. I realize they pushed the wave, and I can just freeze the wave here. So.
And here we have seen like the strengths of Murdoch, helping the offlane get a kill from the long arm of the low. Yeah. Not much you can do in that situation. And so I will take like the chance of like your freezing, getting the gold buff, or like the Stormbreaker first item. Like, yeah. What is the thought process? What do you think it kind of bring to the table, and a little bit on that.
So yeah, I guess we can start with the Stormbreaker. And before we go to the full build, but yeah, Stormbreaker itself is 400 gold cheaper than Lightning Hawk, and it has a really good wave clearing passive, and it also procs on hits. So even if you get a slight lead in the carry role, you will come online much sooner. First, say someone going to crit build, but crit in a sense will always outscale in a 1v1 or just in fighting squishies. First, on hit does better against tanky targets.
Okay. And so like at that moment, like so you kind of hit your power spike earlier, but also like what you're looking for is more like how I can be useful to the team with like my solo farm or with like the full build, because like you said, like you're not a big believer in the 1-to-1, and so it's overall like kind of okay that you don't go fight like the crit build that can get a lucky crit and then you just lose the 1v1 basically.
Yeah, in a sense too, Drongo has not a great auto attack scaling. Murdoch has a 90% scaling on his auto attacks now with that patch, and now Drongo has 80% scaling. So he doesn't crit as hard as they say Murdoch would. Okay. And he has and if you have more attack speed, you can apply max stacks of rad rounds on more targets faster as well. So. And so
just to answer like what question in the chat, like that will be uploaded on my YouTube channel after like the full content is done, so you can also access it in there. Every single episode of Mugi's PrimeTime. So here there is like a fight, so I will unpause and I guess like the rotation of professors. And Toasty offering his life basically to try to let everyone disengage using the leaf song, and I think like here Happy was also trying like maybe to get Toasty out with the Thorn space, like the portal, but unfortunately Adoc like pretty strong on the Richter overall, like having good replash and being like very like present on the map most of the time when I see him playing on Richter on the side of professors. But I kind of like also that we see that Nitro is actually rotating to the mid lane to try to kind of cover this rotation, and so you don't lose the tier 1 tower until Happy come back. So
yeah, here I got very worried. Is like, are they coming behind me? Why is Howie staying here? Am I getting ganked? Sometimes you just ask your question is like, why is a team doing what they're doing? Why is Howie still in lane here? Is someone coming behind me? Are they looking to kill me? Or are they just using Howie as a pressure to get the tier 1? So I was like trying to understand what was going on here.
Yeah, it's like you also like talked about that when ADOC was on the right side, which is like I think really important, and sometimes a lot of players kind of forget is like before you try to make something happen, try to get the information on what is going on the map, and so once you get the information you can take informed decision and you don't go for coin flips that can cost you quite a lot. So definitely like here I got the timing to be aggressive maybe, and just like, oh, is someone is coming, why are they playing like that, trying to infer information from like what they're doing. And I think like some like the first like 5 days done when the Decker was level 5, when you were both level 6, the Decker got aggro on you, and I guess like it's because it was the rotation of the Howitzer. But here like you kind of realize that very well, and you didn't really try to fight because you probably got the information. But also like a Decker level 5 fighting into like 2 level 6 doesn't make sense, and you just react accordingly. So here we see like once again, like we said that normally it's solo island, but I feel like it's carry island in that game so far. Like chilling in his solo lane against survivors, and then just like both enjoying like the farm.
Yeah, I honestly, if I could just farm and scale for a late game and not have to, deal with anyone, I would definitely do that, because a carry from behind actually feels useless. I'm not gonna lie.
Like when you're dealing, your main job is dealing damage, so that means like big numbers, and if you can't scale, like you don't have big numbers, like yeah, compared to a support that still have like some CC that can impact everything. Like on Drogo you still have the gag grenade, but I feel like it's not enough to actually have a big impact.
An allied tower is destroyed.
So here we have a kind of maybe a little swap lane, but I think it's just like because it kind of happened, and they're still on the.
Happened. Yeah, I happened to be mid, so Appy went right. It's not a big deal. And then we realized they do Fang, and we realized, oh, we can collapse on them. So we looked at the collapse, and then we do successfully collapse on them here, which is really nice.
An allied tower.
So you kind of managed to peel yourself thanks to the shrapnel cannon, and everyone is kind of collapsing. But now we have double Fangtooth. And so I'm curious, like in this situation, like when they got the second Fangtooth, is it immediately like a call from the team that, okay, they have two Fangtooth, we need to pay attention to the third one, there is no way we can just like leave him to them? Or it's something that you were not there yet in terms of like communication?
It depends. Like the third Fangtooth is big, but I also don't believe this is also important. We messed up here, but it's not always game changing. Okay. And if we do give up the third Fang, it's like, what can we get from it? Like, can we get Prime off it? Can we do Prime stuff by then? Or can something happen from it? Or because you definitely don't want to give the third Fang for free. So if we do give it, it's like we better be giving up something else that's really important to let them have the third Fang. So.
That's very interesting, because I really feel like that the 8% stat buff is actually like very like a huge ordeal to go against, but apparently so like you actually like you're not fine, but it's not like the end of the world from what I hear what you're saying basically.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world, but it does make the game harder, because at the end a perfectly executed team fight can win you the game, or the enemy team happens to miss position, or they split up and you get a pick or two, and then you end up getting Primal Fangtooth. And then who cares about their 8% when you have Primal Fangtooth that does true damage? So it's like, yes, it's bad, but it's not like an instant losable scenario.
So far, like we see that like the enemy team is kind of like definitely Professor on top of the objective game, like 2 Fangtooth, 1 mini prime. You only get 1 mini prime. Here a little nice aggression from Toasty. Still like disengaging.
Yeah. So what we shot called here is that, hey, Crazy used his stun ball on me for no reason. Let's punish him right here. Let's catch him when he rotates back to mid, and that's what we did here. So we didn't kill him, but we just got some damage off. And maybe if it was a kill opportunity, great. But if not, it was still an opportunity to do damage, or at least force him to reset. But maybe he was already resetting, but it was just an opportunity to see if we could capitalize on.
I kind of like that it's also like multiple times you point that out, the fact that as a support, you really have to understand that having your cooldown up or not is such a big difference on what you can do and how you can impact like the spacing you have. And I feel like it's still something that a lot of support don't really understand, that using your cooldown is not just like about like what you can do with it, but also like the downtime you will have when this cooldown is not up.
Yeah, it's all about just being as efficient. I think people still have the mindset that you have to use your abilities once they're off cooldown. It's all about just guaranteeing the abilities, as you said it in many streams. It's about making the ability as easy as possible. It's about making the game as easy as possible. The game's already difficult. Don't need to make it more difficult. This is really unfortunate. We don't respect the Richter hook, so everyone keeps getting picked here. But I say, hey, I have a flank here, I have a flank here. I let my team know, they don't know I'm here. I see they're not positioning. I'm like, I have a flank. Then Appy goes in, and then I assassinate Survivor, and we just kind of clean from here. And then Survivor, I don't know why, but he walks into the tower. I think he should just walked into the jungle, but he decides to walk into the tower and die faster, I guess. So then we just clean up here. And so I get like 3 or 4 kills, so I get really big here.
Yeah, and so you're in the end, like this team fight, it was like 4 kills for 2 people. So it's also like something like here we can see sometimes like good positioning and like actually good coordination can like beat the odds, because you already lost the save, so it was like probably like a 5 against 4, but you still managed to get like super ahead because like good flanking, they don't expect, it's 3 DPS on you, and a very nice engage on Appy that just like goes in to create like all the space. And sometimes some combo just aren't enough. Like the game is fast enough that if you time like everything perfectly, like people can just disappear and you get a huge team fight for yourself.
Yeah, and you also think about it as this perspective. I think this is Guru runs me down. I ult over to get out. He flashes on me. I think this is really greedy by Guru. I end up dying. I should have just walked away here, but instead I keep shooting them and then I die. But that was, I thought, really greedy by them. And then what happens here is IDOC hooks the invisible Klari because Narvash is nearby, but they still clean up the fight in the end, which is really good for my team. And I think Survivor's just overcommitted for no reason here. Like they should just, reset, and they lost the team fight. I guess they're trying to even out the playing field by catching me, but I think the moment I'm out of the fight, they shouldn't chase me. They should just take my ult and then maybe look for other objectives while we reset. So
yeah,
I was very shocked to see Guru flash for me right here.
So here in this situation, we kind of walk, and we can see like actually like there is nobody from his team that is like nearby, just really going like for the 1v1. But as you said, like it's probably like at the territory of your team, so it's
so
probably
they don't have all the
risky.
Information. Maybe they see Appy on the board, or they don't know where Appy is, or they don't know where the team is, or maybe they think they can kill me faster. I know it just happens. Survivor misses the ult because I flash and cleanse, but I should have just walked away because I think my team would have had him.
Yeah.
And then watch this hook. Hooks the invisible Klari. But Appy responds very accordingly.
So like a little bit of unfortunate that your gag grenade is like just a little bit off the mark, so you still get hit by the crush that first like delay a little bit your flash away. But yeah, like overall, like it's still like kind of a W for your team because it's 2 deaths for 3 kill, and so you still like getting the better out of that. But you still had to use like your ultimate, your liberator, and your flash. So is it something that I would assume like you kind of play around, like as a carry you said like, oh, all these cooldowns are done, like let me wait a little bit so I get everything back up if you want to team fight?
No, I agree. It's also understanding like, hey, did they use 2 ults to kill me? Okay, well they don't have these 2 ults in the next 60 seconds. Let's try to take advantage of that. And we have ult advantage. That's actually a big factor. So we may just win the fight even though we're down a man, but we have ultimate advantage. So maybe we can create a bigger opportunity or a bigger play. And then here we just catch Survivor or Soul Reaper. I play the cutoff. Take me a bit longer to kill him, and then we get kind of collapsed on. I think my ult was up was like 1 second here or something. That was sad. So my team comes in and they clean up. Once again, happy with another a big ult.
Like kind of like the overcommit here from the side of Professor that they got a kill, but at what cost, basically. Here it's a little bit unfortunate that we see that Soul Reaper, I think it's Soul Reaper, like got the landmine right before the gag grenade like actually hits. you couldn't like
Yeah.
force him to be stuck in place, and like this whole situation he couldn't like have actually like damage you otherwise. So
unfortunate. I was hoping to get more damage off, but he actually managed to get a lot of damage on me, which created opportunities for Survivor to come in. But then my team, I think, just happened to clean up because they're all focused on me. So
like also like something that you have to be careful is exactly that. Like okay, you can get a target, but then how do you deal with the next like menace, which in this case is like Gideon. Like most of the time, like every time they collapse on you, like Happy just get like a good black hole and you just like win the team fight out of that because everyone is following. Grati is free DPSing on all the characters that are in the black hole, and great, like you kill the Drongo, but then you have to take care of the rest of the team. So you have to be careful not overcommitting. And so I think like here you managed to get like the Fangtus after this fight when you kill 3 people. Trying to find another kill here, and you see that Crazy Fool probably gonna get picked up, maybe. Like the double crippling dagger, the old Rusty. Okay. I wasn't expecting the Deathmark to kill, but Deathmark does a lot of damage.
yeah, it does a lot of damage. I was shocked too that he died there. I think he was shocked himself that he died there.
Most likely.
And this is where we try to communicate on clean plays. We say, don't chase, go to the objective. Bring them back to the objective. Don't chase, get out. So we try not to overcommit in fights, because then you let the teammate or let the enemy team capitalize on your mispositioning, or they can jump on you first. So we said, let's bring them back to the pit. Let's just play it safe, play it slow. Either do the objective or bait a corner.
I kind of like what you do there. Like you recognize that Appy has no mana, so you don't force the R prime immediately. You just let Appy reset. It's such as like a strong strength for your team.
Like in a sense, right now this is a 4v4, but Appy comes in. Appy tries to go for a big ult, but he doesn't quite hit it. But this is a bit of a chaotic fight. Teams are split up. There's different fights. I think Soul Reaper overcommitted here. Then he had to waste a flash, but then we still just chase him down.
Here we get like a kill. It's kind of like exchanging abilities until like you finally can get like the free kill.
Here I see this, so I respond accordingly. I literally gas grenade so Richter can't ult. I don't know if he had ult, but I said I have gas grenade for you if he pulls you. So I gas grenaded him, and then we end up chasing him. We said, oh, he did have ult still, so, or maybe I did save the Sabrog from getting ulted. And we know that, hey, we don't want to overextend, and then so we retreat. Like if we go back like 20 seconds, we retreat, and then we realize, oh, hey, they're trying to look for something. Can we, do something? Can we react? Because normally, if we were like first week together as a team, we probably would have chased them to their inhibitor. I'm not gonna lie, but we realized at the beginning or before this, I would say, I guess after we kill Soul Reaper, we realized not to overextend.
It was like I think like the first kill you get on
right
Soul
here,
Reaper
this is
is
good,
really good disengage. You don't like overcommit in that. You just like recoup. What is up here? The very nice guy grenade, like you said. And here I completely agree. Like the goal is to kind of disengage, so there is no need to risk it. Like if you have the ability, like just protect your mate in case.
Yeah, and then we see that they wasted everything. So like, oh, they have nothing. Go in. Like they can't punish us. So
yeah. And I really like also like that's something I've seen like in this fight that I really like from your part is I see so many carries that are so eager to make something happen since the beginning of the team fight that they end up like in bad positioning. And we can see like for a long time you weren't really useful because there was like no entry point, but you just wait your right timing. Because as a carry, that's really the job. Like you're gonna be a monster if you manage to do a little bit of damage and you're not focused. And when there is like only like 3 people against 3 people, like that's where you can very, very much shine. And so that's something as a carry that you need to be careful. It's fine to not be there immediately as the fight starts, but a little bit after. And you always like stay in a position that they can't really collapse on you without committing too much. Like I was saying repeatedly, like if they go for you like to die, too much, and then they can just like counter you in that regard.
Yeah, my favorite thing to talk about is zone of control. Every character has their own zone of control around them of how can they affect you, and as they use abilities, their zone of control either increases or maybe decreases depending on the character. So, for example, if Sevrog uses his root, well, you can probably go a bit closer to Sevrog. Unless he has flash, then maybe you can't go too close to Sevrog. There's so many like ifs and buts, but it's all about playing around the zone of control. And as a carry, your whole goal is to do as much DPS. You're a DPS machine. You're not like an assassin. You're not trying to kill people. You're just trying to inflict as much pain on the enemy team without taking as much damage on yourself. And then you're, like I said, the main goal of carry is a DPS and the objective destroyer. Like that's where you excel at, and so you look for your windows of opportunity.
And so here we can see that you got like I think the first R prime of the game, and so when you get the R prime, like kind of what is the mindset like already, like you know where you are going to eat in terms of like sieging, or do you just kind of go like base, like I see a lot of teams that just go with the flow and they're just like, oh, we're there, we have a wave, we go there.
It's all situational. Like here we thought, hey, maybe we'll take Orb Prime into Fangtooth or Primal, but then we realized, hey, Guru's in the Soul Lane. Let's just collapse on him and look for an opportunity. And then we said, oh wait, they're split pushing. They're trying to trade inhibitors. We send Appy back because we know we can win without him, and Appy tries to stall their back while we try to get more on the map. And as they see, it's a 2v4 here, and we just take them out. And that was a big Sevrog route. So we just take them all out here one at a time. It's all about responding accordingly to the team or to the enemy team and understanding what are they trying to do, because they're going to try to do something. They're going to try to respond. Maybe they go for Fangtooth. Maybe you try to do a 1-3-1 or a 1-4. Then you have to be careful. Are they going to engage on the person that's alone? Are they going to try to do a 5v4 team fight? So there's so many like variables to play around. You just got to respond accordingly and play it just like being smart and efficient.
And here, if I'm not mistaken, like I think like Professor was trying to go like maybe for a trade of inhibitor, but Appy apparently like I think it was a 1v2 managing to defend like everything and giving you the space to actually like make the play happen on the left side and the mid side. So like I like there is like one thing, like the first scream I've analyzed of you guys, I felt like you were like very composed under pressure. So of course, like there is always like a limit of what you can do, but here we can see like we were kind of behind during the game, but at no moment I kind of felt like there was any panicking. Just say like, you know that you will get your chance later on, you're gonna try to play out of them, and it actually like work out in the end. You just get like a few good fights that open up like the first Fangtooth, then the O Prime, and you just finish the game with that big objective. Very, very, very nicely played here.
Yeah, I think as a team, we know we're really strong at the late game. If we can get to the late game without losing too much in the early game, we think we can just outperform other teams and just team fight more efficiently. And part of that is just being a bit more disciplined in our decisions, being a bit more cleaner in our calls, not chasing kills, just taking the damage and then using whatever poke we get off to maybe transition to objectives or to play a corner and look for a pick. But yeah, we're looking to really try to improve our early game. We think our late game is really really good. It's just more of the early game where we sometimes lose the early game that we don't even get an opportunity to play the late game. That's kind of our mindset right now.
I kind of like it. You kind of analyze your strengths and your weakness, and you try to like to cover all your bases basically, and so you can be able to practice with intentionality, which I think is something very important. I take the chance that like Shift AC like ask you a question for you, Lakenator, which is like, what's your main role? So I would assume carry, but besides that,
it's carry. I would say it's carry. The role I've played most in Predecessor is carry. But if you see me in casual, I'll play any. I'll be playing any role. Sometimes I get bored of carry because sometimes it's very mind-numbing to play in solo queue, so I play other roles. But it's carry.
Okay. And also like Lens Cecil like. Thanking you because like he already better at the game. Like I have to admit it was like very, very insightful, like all the comments and the insights. I really also like enjoy it, and you can see like it's great also because you can see like a little bit of the difference between like the type of analysis I'm doing and the type of analyzing like a player that like actually playing the game is actually doing. And I think it's really like great for the players to actually get this type of information, because like sometimes I have a too high like bird's eye view, and where you actually like talk about like, yeah, we have to pay attention if the jungler is here, also like the positioning and what you actually feel in the middle of the fight. So I think it was very, very, very nice. And there is Reflex that asks you another question, which is, do you think on it builds make sense on Kira?
I don't think so. just because of how Kira ultimate works, it only scales with crit. If Kira's ult maybe proc on hits, it might be viable, just like how her right click, her her buckshot, whatever you want to call it, does on hit. I don't think Kira on hit's viable. After doing on hit on everyone, I think the only characters that are viable for on hit is Sparrow and Drongo right now. I think because Drongo has lower auto attack scaling and his passive and abilities just synergize really well. I'm also a big believer in Kingsbane, so I when I go crit builds, except for Kira or Rev, I will go Kingsbane on say Murdoch, etc. Because Kingsbane actually heals more than Terminus. So in every case of the game, and then with Stormbreaker, if you do go Stormbreaker, Kingbane's heals even more. But so I've been also been trying to analyze other ADCs and how they play and build. Like I try to pay attention to Neff's build. I use the Omeda Cities website. It's actually very insightful. I just look at to see how people build certain carries, or maybe they're trying certain items out, and just try to understand things. Or in scrim environment, just saying, why is this person building this? What value does it have? I try to get away from the mindset of this is a must-have, must-do. This is all the truth, but the truth, and etc. It's like really understand why someone's doing something, especially at a higher level. Maybe they might be onto something. If not, try it yourself, and then you'll say, "Oh, this is good. Oh, this I think this is bad," or "This just doesn't work for me." Yeah. I think on hit Drongo is really strong, but other people would disagree. So,
and there's like a very important point you just said there is like sometimes it doesn't work for me, and you also have to understand that as a player you kind of have your own play style. There is stuff that you're better at and worse at, and so like just also like kind of still be open of like trying to find what actually like very works with your own play style. Of course, we're not asking you to go for a carry and then you just like play full AP on Murdoch, because the static trap is not going to kill people, but still I think it's very important to stay open in those things. And like you said, like keep the flexibility. And I think like for the people that are actually trying to get into competitive game, I think it's important also like to remind you that it's an early access game. Like the game can change drastically from patch to patch. So try to not overburn yourself on this type of thing, because like you always have to be like flexible, adapt yourself, because maybe you're super strong on Revenant on a specific build and the next patch the build completely disappear or the character is not playable anymore. So this is where like I think like you said, like this open mindset is super important as a general, but especially on early access game that can change a lot. Otherwise you can sometimes get discouraged about going there. And so I really like also like what you were saying about like playing like different role, trying to get a feel of everything and not get like over blocked on something. And I think that could be like a good advice for player trying to also like reach the top level.
Another thing about the on hit too is most teams are drafting 2 to 3 tanks. So on hit does just really well in the tanks. So it's very viable, and especially I think on it may even, like I said, more viable next patch with maybe Sapphire Mental being a thing and maybe some more HP stacking be a thing. But if I was playing Drongo and they picked no tanks, I would probably go crit that game. I'm going to go crit if they have no tanks. So, that way I'll be guaranteed doing more damage to everyone if I went crit versus on hit. Because like if you go on hit and you're shooting a squishy, you're just going to do less damage.
Well, thank you for the insight there. So we're kind of reaching out like the end of the talk show. So if everyone has like a few more questions in the chat for Lakenator, feel free to ask. In the meantime, like maybe Lakenator, do you have like any social that people kind of follow, or like I think you have like a Twitch channel, which I assume is like the same name as this one that of your name. So yeah, like if you have like any like social you want to share.
Sure, I have a Twitter. I don't use it much. Feel free to follow. Maybe I will use it in the future, but right now it just sits there. It's Lakenator, I think, with 2 R's. And then I have a YouTube with 1 YouTube video. I haven't posted another one. It's just about the fundamentals of ADC and the carry rule. It's a bit outdated because some information has changed. Like you said, it's early access, so things change all the time. But at least if you're looking to understand the carry rule, at least or maybe more on a basic level, I think I'm Lakenator on YouTube as well. So stuff like that, but maybe I'll make more videos in the future. I know people really enjoyed the first video I made and thought it was very well done, and it was my only first video I've ever done, so I thought I did a really good job as well. So maybe I'll look more into that, but I'm not too sure. I'm more than happy. This community itself, for the most part, has a lot of great people, a lot of great individuals. Everyone wants this game to do well. I always say there's always going to be, bad faith actors in the community, but for the most part, everyone in the community wants us to do well. You know, people sometimes get super competitive and maybe, you know, take it, I don't want to say take it out on each other, but get frustrated. But that's just a part of the competition and MOBAs. At the end of the day, we're all here and we want Predecessor to do well and we enjoy the game. So I enjoy meeting everyone in the community so far. It's been really fun just meeting new people and just, you know, seeing who else enjoys MOBAs.
Like I can fully get behind this statement, and I think like you have a big fan in the chat in the sense of Airdog here, Lakenator. But yeah, like very great community. Thank you once again, Lakenator, for coming to the show. Like I fully agree with Airdog said. Like you really like make the show super interesting, super insightful. So thank you for joining here. And like for all the people watching in chat, like of course, like thank you for coming, chatting, exchanging with us. It was very appreciated. And don't forget to like jump into the action of the tournament tomorrow, where Lakenator will be like part of it, of course, and that will be like also a site to watch on this Twitch channel, like for the core tournament, like the Fame Boost 4th edition. Thank you, everyone. Have all a wonderful night or afternoon, depending on which region of the world you are. And I hope you all enjoy your weekend. And once again, thank you, Lake, for joining.
Hey, no problem. I'll be happy to help. Like I said, if anyone needs help with anything or just wants to talk or reach out or talk about things, I love theory crafting. I love just hearing people's opinions. So I love just trying to broaden my knowledge and understand, you know, I'm very big into, you know, I guess human nature, you know, how people see things. You know, I think EU might be ahead sometimes, and sometimes EU is ahead, I think, in item builds sometimes. I think they understand maybe the items better than we do in NA. And so I always sometimes look at EU and see how do they build certain characters. And then I think NA actually has a really strong player base of very competitive gamers. So I always look at them for trying to improve my competitive edge. So it's just trying to understand what resources are out there. Omeda City is really good, you know, as well as your friends around you, and just understanding the way people, you know, do things. And then, of course, I have a bit of an ego myself that may get in the way of things, but, you know, sometimes it happens. You get frustrated, but then I look back on the next day, hey, maybe this person was right. You know, sometimes it's just better to forget about it and think about it tomorrow and just move on, right? So
yeah, everyone has their own little ego, as soon as it doesn't like stop you to get in conversation and sometimes like rethink about like what you exchange. I think it's totally fine. Like if nobody was like certain about anything, like there wasn't like any argument and we couldn't like polish this diamond that we're trying to get there. So yeah, completely fine. I think like you have definitely like the right mindset. Like it was a joy to exchange with you, and I hope like everyone in the chat like enjoy this little moment all together.
yeah.
So thank you, everyone, and we are out. See you soon.
Peace.